Good morning, everyone. Jim Giacchetta here. I'm the CTO and EVP of Engineering at Vidovation. I am joined today by Florian Colmer of Avi West. He has a deep background in network engineering, and he's been chartered with helping me with the U.S. market. So Florian has been tremendous help to me and our Bonded Cellular efforts here in the U.S.
Hi, everybody.
Good. So I'm going to do most of the presenting today. Florian is here to back me up for those really deep technical questions or questions you might have about Bonded Cellular or the company Avi West. So today we hope to educate you, make you aware of some of the latest and greatest technological advancements in Bonded Cellular. In case you don't know already, Vidovation is the master distributor for Avi West in the USA. So you will see the Avi West product mixed into the presentation. But we're hopefully there'll be some good educational information you can take away from the webinar today. So one of the questions I get asked a lot is, you know, why do I need 8 modems? Why are 8 modems better than 6 modems? Most of the Bonded Cellular manufacturers out there today have 6 modems, and what they'll try to say is, well, T-Mobile and Sprint are not as strong cellular networks as Verizon or AT&T. I think no one will dispute it's probably Verizon first, then AT&T. T-Mobile has come a long way, so maybe they're at the heels of AT&T now. And then people say, who even uses Sprint? But Florian and I have spent a lot of time on the road in North America doing all kinds of crazy tests. Customers actually enjoy trying to make the product fail. You know, as an engineer, you want to try to break things. So we've seen time and time again where we'll be in a fringe area and Sprint is the only provider on the tower, or T-Mobile is strong in that area. And the reason why we have 8 is so that we can have 2 of each carrier's modems. We work with the 4 major carriers here in the U.S., Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, and Sprint. So what that does is it maximizes our diversity and it maximizes our redundancy. So, you know, we all depend on Verizon, that they're probably the #1, but if you only had one Verizon modem and the tower decided the lease was up on your IP address or your connection and it dropped you momentarily, your video would stop. So having 2 of each modem, 2 of each of the carriers, we feel is the best approach, and the results prove that. I've been in the field doing demos where a customer will say, hey, don't turn your unit on. Your competitor from brand L sat in that desk last week, sat in that chair last week, and their unit didn't transmit. I don't want you to embarrass yourself. So I just quietly turn the Avi West unit on, and I'm broadcasting 4 or 5 megabits per second. So it's a lot of little things that can make a very big difference in the reliability and redundancy and the quality of your Bonded Cellular transmission. And one of those little things is having 2 extra modems, having 8 modems. So the unit will spread the payload across all 8 modems. You know, even though Verizon is the best, a customer will say, well, I want all 8 modems to be Verizon. We feel that that's not prudent either. You will go in an area where Verizon's not available. So, you know, 99% of the applications, 2 of each modems is the way to go. one other thing too is, we forget these devices. I think Tom Butts of TV Technology coined the phrase bonded IP. These devices bond not only cellular but all types of IP connections. And in the case of this product, we can bond up to 11 IP connections, and that would be the 8 cellular modems, 2 LAN connections, and Wi-Fi to give you 11. So what's another differentiator, or what's another important feature when you're doing bonded cellular is you want to have an encoder that's adaptive. Now, all the players do this, all the major players do this. So your primary encoder will adapt or adjust the bit rate based on network conditions. So the device will probe all your connections, all your 11 connections, and it will see, okay, I have LAN connectivity, I have Wi-Fi, I have Verizon, Sprint, T-Mobile's not working so well in this area. It spreads the packet, spreads the payload across all those connections. But the important thing too is if you're in a very, very poor area is to be able to go very low bit rate. So we can go down to 100K. Audio obviously has the top priority, so you always want to be able to hear what's happening. And then of course the video will be lower resolution. The device also has scaling. It will lower the resolution, not only lower the bit rate, but lower the resolution of the video, and then the receiver upscales it. I'll talk more about this later. And then if you're in a clear area, you want to be able to do high bit rate. You want to do like your ATEM or your Fujitsu or your Ericsson or Thomson encoder and do a nice remote high bit rate broadcast. So adaptive bit rate, we all do that. That's nothing new. But one thing we've noticed is we're the only ones that have a second encoder. And why is that important? With the second encoder, we're able to offer higher quality. So it's like having a Fujitsu or an ATEM out in the field with you. And I kind of tease Florian and the AviWest team that they over-engineered the product. They threw in this very high quality 422 encoder to be able to do this. And one of the major networks really put all the players, new and old. They brought in about 12 different vendors. A lot of them were kicked out in the early rounds, but they used this crazy Sarnoff Labs test pattern, and it's called the encoder killer, but I think is the nickname of it. And it's this very elaborate pattern. It's got a lot of fine details. It's got motion and whatnot, so you can visually see the impairments in the video encoding and decoding process. And when we were using the second hardware encoder, one engineer thought we had the input and the output swapped. He could not see the difference in what was coming in and what was coming out. So that's the benefit of this second encoder. It's a constant bit rate encoder, very high quality encoder. I have another slide that goes into more detail on that. So just like 8 modems are better than 6, 8 is better than 6, we feel 2 encoders is better than 1. And if there's no extra cost, why not? Why not have this high quality encoder? So as I mentioned, your primary transmission is going on the bit rate or VBR encoder, as we call it. That's for your live transmission. Your high quality 422 constant bit rate encoder, this is the one that's like a Fujitsu or an ATEM. What do we use it for? You of course can use it for the live transmission, but you need to have a good connection because it's constant bit rate. If the network dips down, you have to watch your connection. But most customers, they'll use the variable bit rate for the live, and then the constant bit rate is used for high quality in recording on the unit, on the camera. So people will say, well, I record in the media in my camera. Um, why do I need recording in the unit? Well, all of us cellular providers, we do store and forward. I'm not sure who invented that. I don't know if Avi West invented that, but they all do some sort of a store and forward. But they're recording the transmission grade video. So if you're in a fringy area, you're getting a little bit of breakup, maybe you're getting some hits in your audio, and something important happens, by having a second encoder recording high quality at all times, you will never miss a shot. And I'll get into this in a little more detail. By having a second encoder, it also gives us an alternative transmission path. We have a DVB ASI output, so we can connect our bonded cellular unit to a microwave transmitter, satellite, or other type of connection. So having ASI out, even on a portable unit, you want to share a feed with a nearby truck, it just gives you more flexibility. Also, the ASI out may be more beneficial in the rack mount version when you put it actually in a truck, and I'll cover that later. So I mentioned store and forward. So we broadcast live with the variable bit rate quality. We forward near live. A lot of broadcasters call this near live. So if you're a few minutes behind the live broadcast, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, let's say, you can push the stored or the recorded video. Now that's the benefit of recording it in the unit and not recording it inside your camera. If you record it inside your camera, to get it to the studio, you got to play it out. If we record it in the unit, we can push it faster than live, faster than real time. So it does an FTP transfer over all the modems. So you always have that second recording, and it's the high quality recording. So these are things that we feel are very important, and Avi West put this into the product to satisfy the needs of all their European broadcasters. They've deployed close to 3,000 of these systems. Europe, Latin America, Asia. Vidovation now is deploying them in the U.S. I'll get more into that. But so you always have a high quality recording, and you can see here these little buttons here at the bottom. Let me get my little pointer. So you can press the forward button right here, and then you choose. I want to choose the file. Most of the times the file you want to send is the last one you recorded, so you'd hit last, or send all. So you can send it all. Now if the camera operator forgets to send the files after the shoot, master control can pull the files, and I'll show you how that's done. So it's a lot of little things that add up to be significant. So people say, well, in general, people ask me, we see ourselves as a wireless systems provider. We build the in-net goal cams for the National Hockey League. They sit in the net for instant replay. And we solved their problem where the referees couldn't see what was happening in the goal. So we were called in as wireless experts, and we felt 60 gigs solved that problem. But what I get asked all the time is, can you tell me my wireless, can you guarantee my wireless, whether it be COFDM, 5 gigahertz, MMON, bonded cellular, whatever type of wireless, microwave, you can't say it's going to be 100% reliable. If something is that critical, you should run a fiber or have a telco circuit with a guaranteed quality of service and service level. But with that said, bonded cellular in general, but especially Avi West, we were approaching the reliability of satellite. And not that satellite's going to go away, it still has its needs, or we will bond and work with satellite as well, and the ASI output helps that. But why do bonded cellular? It's a fraction of the cost of renting or buying a sat truck. We now can do glass-to-glass latency of 1.5 seconds. that's better or equal to the performance of satellite. Most news anchors, reporters are okay with doing an interview 1.5 seconds. They can deal with that. There's no more heavy PC in the backpack. You know, my dad used to joke, you know, when a piece of equipment was heavy, he'd be like, oh, if you put a handle on the side of a refrigerator, you call it portable. You know, you break your back, it weighs 500 pounds. So early on are these big clunky PCs shoved into like a military huge backpack. Those days are over. It's compact, lightweight. AviWest was the first to make a small camera mount, battery plates on both sides, so it mounts on the camera. It does also go in a backpack. There is an option to put it in the backpack, but they were the first to do it. The other players have copied them. And you want a hardware-based platform. You know, again, this PC in a backpack, you have software encoders with Windows running, it's a glorified computer or server, you're going to have hiccups. You're not going to have reliability. This is a hardware encoder, a hardware appliance. So that gives us higher reliability, higher MTBF, yeah, mean time between failure, because it's hardware. Low power consumption too, because it's all solid state. And you can see here the chief engineer over at WPSD. He's pointing to his ENG truck, like, why do I need this? I got this cute small AviWest device. So the portability, the mobility. You can cover news breaking stories. You can cover stories you weren't able to cover before, or you didn't have the budget to cover. The category really was invented for news gathering, and customers branched out for sports coverage, other type of live events, corporate events. So the applications have really expanded. So it's here: news, sports, live events, mobile production. AviWest has helped certain broadcasters. They did these live interviews inside of Tesla, where two politicians would interview each other. No reporter in the vehicle with them. So they were just casually having a drive, and they would discuss their different political views live inside of a Tesla. We're working with a customer right now that wants to do a TV show live. I won't spoil the details. We're under NDA, but that should be an exciting project. And Bonded Cellular, but in particular AviWest, is perfect for that. Law enforcement, homeland security are big applications. We've sold systems to the military and homeland security. Government agencies, whether it's corporations, government agencies, video communication saves on travel time. If they can remotely have meetings, events, it saves on air travel and such. Yeah, it makes it more of a green device. You don't have to travel to remote locations to communicate with people. And then I mentioned military. Communications, PR, marketing, communications departments of corporations, sports teams, sports leagues are all looking at these devices. It's a great way to webcast. If we wanted to do this webinar out in the middle of a field somewhere, say it was an outdoor event, and we wanted to stream it, or a wedding or a public event, we can broadcast directly to the web with Bonded Cellular. So a question I get is, you know, will Bonded Cellular replace my mobile truck? I remember I posted a Bonded Cellular, I think it was a little blurb about downloading our white paper on Bonded Cellular in one of the satellite forums, and some of the satellite engineers saying this is the wrong venue for that type of discussion. And I think that's a mistake. If you're a satellite provider, and you feel threatened by Bonded Cellular, if you don't obsolete your own business, or if you don't change your business model, or if you won't adapt, someone will do it for you. Someone will drive you out of business. And you know, in my 35 years in business, you should never be afraid to learn new things. You know, 10, 15 years ago, who thought, everything would be IP based, that, broadcast and the IT departments need to work together. You would have never thought that would be the case. So we've all had to learn IT, IP, computer type technology in order to do our video production, to do our video jobs. So never say never. But with that said, I don't think these trucks are going anywhere. 2 years ago, I spoke at NAB during one of the technology tracks, and George Hoover of NEP went right after me. So I stayed in the room to listen to what George had to say. And he had a very interesting presentation about how they shoot Monday Night Football. And I think it was like 5 or 6 different trailers, mobile production trucks. They need to do instant replay. They need to do graphics. They've got talent in the booth. For a production that complex, you're not going to home run that all back to master control. You need to produce the show on site. So Bonded have its role in an event like that, where you're getting B-roll from the parking lot or an interview in an odd location in and around the venue. But I don't think anytime soon we're going to be running Monday Night Football, all 15 cameras through a system like this. So we should embrace it. We should work it into our existing workflow. And the smarter broadcasters are already doing this. So we've seen tremendous demand for lower tier type sports coverage, NCAA, college, and even high school level sports coverage. There's been tremendous demand, and a lot of these sports didn't have the budget or the resources to have any kind of coverage. So Bonded Cellular gives us that lower cost alternative to having a production truck, a SAT truck, in order to broadcast live. And again, the reliability is approaching that of satellite. So you can expand your existing coverage in the Monday Night Football example I gave, or you can find new and alternative events that can be covered. Especially as Americans or as human beings now, we don't read anymore. We want to see a video. I don't know what I did when I was a kid. My kids ask me, "Oh, how do I Photoshop something?" I said, "There's got to be a YouTube video on how to do it." When I was a kid, you had to go take a class or go to the library and find the book. Now there's a video about everything. So we need more and more content. We have more and more appetite for video content in particular. So this gives us a chance to cover some of these events, and events that normally wouldn't have the budget to be covered at all. So back to the satellite. The product was designed to work with satellite. Having the second encoder and the ASI out, that was put in there to interface with a microwave or satellite transmitter. It's very common now, the mobile production truck manufacturers, they all make hybrid vehicles now, where it's a combination of satellite and cellular. BFM TV in France, they're kind of like the CNN of France. This is a picture of one of their hybrid vehicles, and I believe it's got KA satellite on the roof, and it's hard to see, but there should be some bonded cellular antennas on the roof. And you can bond cellular with KA. We can bond cellular with BGAN. So we can use cellular and satellite together. So if you're in a fringe area, you're on the edge of the cellular network, we can supplement with satellite. So it gives us that flexibility. In the case of this vehicle, a typical unit like this requires 2 quad antennas, as we call them. I don't know if you can see, there's 2 ports here on the side. I have a slide that will show you a close-up. So you need 2 quad antennas, quad for 4, because we have 8 modems. So 2 devices will give you external antennas for quad. And the antennas, a common question I get is, well, should I always use the external antennas to get better performance? The question is no. I mean, it won't hurt anything using the external all the time, but you really don't need to. The high gain antennas are in the bottom and top of the unit. You only really need the external antennas when you're indoors, in particularly inside of a steel or metal van. So if this portable unit was inside the back of this van, the cellular signal wouldn't be that great. You'd still get some. The cell signal comes through the glass. You know, your cell phone still works in the car, right? But if you want to get optimum performance, you really want to use the external antenna, or if you are using cellular inside of a building, you can put the external antennas up to 30 feet away. We have extension cables up to 30 feet. So by having, you know, so those satellite guys that maybe are feeling threatened by cellular, by having cellular as part of your vehicle, it gives you greater flexibility in the services you can provide, and you can have different price points. So if somebody needs the 100% reliability of satellite, and again, you know, there's rain fade, there could be building obstruction. So you know, again, nothing wireless is ever, nothing in life is ever 100%. But if you want to have that flexibility, you can have a combination of bonded cellular and satellite, so you can have different price points in your services. And all ENG trucks, all mobile trucks, you're very short on rack space. So the fact that the second encoder is inside of this device, there'll be slides of the rack mount version. You don't have to have a bonded cellular and an ATEM, Fujitsu, Ericsson, Thomson, whatever encoder in the unit. AviWest kills two birds. And frankly, you'll save $10, $15, $20,000 in these high-end transmission encoders. It's built into this unit, and you're not paying extra for that. It's not an option. It's just in there. You know, again, Florian, you guys over-engineered it. You made it too good. It's just that way. It's just very good. So you can see in this slide the cable for the you can see right here. The cable, there's a flat ribbon cable version that can go through a door jamb or a window of a vehicle, and then there's a more of a round cable version if you're going to permanently install it in the vehicle. And then there's industrial strength magnets on the bottom to stick to the roof of the car. Oh, I meant to ask you, Florian, how do they get the antennas to stick to the Tesla? Because the Tesla's aluminum. I think I saw a bracket in that photo to hold, or maybe they mounted them to a bracket. Just a curious question.
Yeah, there was some kind of brackets, and it was attached to the trunk, but I don't know in details. I can show you some pictures as well.
Yeah, I have some slides that talk about that later, and it's also on the AviWest website and the Vidovation website. But you know, so there's a case in point where the magnets wouldn't work, but that, you know, most people don't put this on their Tesla. One thing I've noticed in the field is that the magnets are so strong, when you're putting it on the vehicle, you want to kind of hold it from the side. It won't hurt you, but you get a little pinch. It'll pinch your fingers. It's that strong, and I think it's rated up to 120 miles per hour, whatever kilometers per hour to stay on the roof.
Yes, it has been certified to be used on roads. So it's fully certified, and we have some customers that are producing some programs live while driving on the road. So that's why.
Yeah. So you don't really need to permanently mount it. There's mounting screws on the bottom of the unit. There's also 1/4-20 screws if you want to put it on. What customers would do a lot, they'll put it on a 15-foot light stand, screw it onto the 1/4-20. That's good to get it above crowds, to get a better reception. The high gain antennas always give you priority with your connection compared to a consumer phone, but putting an antenna up high sometimes can help as well. So here's a picture of the rack unit. So a couple of major sports networks, ESPN, Fox. They're covering lower tier type sports, college sports, and even high school sports. And in Southern California, Some 700 games a season are being covered. They're being retransmitted on Fox. This project predates Vidovation bringing Avi West into the U.S. So this project was done with another bonded cellular provider. But it's just to prove the point that a major network like Fox sees the value in high school sports coverage, and they have maybe a half a dozen. They contracted a vendor with about a half a dozen small vans with 2 to 4 cameras each, a TriCaster in the back, bonded cellular rig in the back, and they broadcast live, and the reliability approached that of cellular. I'm sorry, of satellite. So viewers, parents in Southern California can watch their child's football game live from work if they're working later at home, or see a retransmission of that. And who could imagine at the high school level having this type of coverage on a major network? So it's quite amazing. So this is a nice shot. So it kind of shows you the portable unit. You see the IOs. They're identical in the rack mount. The boards are actually kind of laid flat. It's the same interface. It's just a more horizontal version of the product. It's the same exact product. The only difference is there's no internal antennas. You have to use the external quad antennas, and they would, 2 of them, 2 quads would plug in here. But it's essentially the same device. And then the ASI output is great for feeding your microwave or satellite or whatever. Oh, yeah, you can't forward the slide when the pointer's up. That's weird. Come on. Oh, there we go. So yeah, the rack mount version, as we call it, DMNG, so digital media news gathering, right? That's the definition of DMNG.
Mobile.
Oh, mobile. Digital mobile news guy. See, that's why Florian is here to correct me. Rack 180, and the 8 in 180 means 8 modems. Avi West does make a version of the product, the 140 with 4 modems. But if a customer was extremely cost conscious, then we would do 1 modem of each carrier. You don't save that much money. We really recommend the DMNG Pro 180 and the Rack 180 for the U.S. market. So as I mentioned, you know, I'm kind of repeating myself. I have the habit of like spilling all the good juicy details too soon before the slide, but so I'll keep moving because we have a lot to cover. So the rack mount version is ideal to go in your truck, ENG mobile truck, roof mounted quad antennas. You save the rack space because the second encoder is built into it, so you don't need another encoder in the truck, so you save space and you save money. And then of course the ASI out to hit your microwave or satellite link. I mentioned that the unit integrates with BGAN. Now, we're not the only ones that do that, but we are the only ones that integrate very tightly with BGAN. So why is that important? When you go in to set up the unit, there's a setup tab. There's actually a BGAN tab. You go in there, and I think it's 4 different types of BGAN, Florian. It's 4 that we support.
I'm sorry, 4 types of BGAN we support?
Yeah. So you go into the BGAN setting, and then you pick the type of BGAN you're using.
Yes.
And the unit actually takes control. It sets up the session.
Yes. So that's the point. Maybe I can explain that. When you are using a BGAN antenna, usually you need a laptop with a BGAN Launchpad software just to point the BGAN antenna and set up the credential and connect to the satellite. Some of our customers, they are moving worldwide simply with a camera, the DMNG Pro, and a BGAN antenna, and they didn't want to use a laptop, especially in harsh conditions. So what we did is that the DMNG Pro is capable of controlling the BGAN antenna like the Launchpad software is. And we are supporting all main devices like Hughes or Explorer antennas. And we are supporting also the new HGR service from Inmarsat, so you can get higher bit rates. And we are also supporting other kinds of satellite modems like Ka band satellite modems, or the new Global Express service as well, which was showcased at NAB.
One feedback we got from customers is that it's very common for the operator to shut down his camera, shut down his bonded cellular, and forget to close the connection of the BGAN. And they leave it on the ground, it's still running, and that's very expensive. So by integrating it inside or with the AVI-West tightly, when the AVI-West stops, the BGAN stops. So again, it's another one of those little things that can help save you a lot of money, help you making a mistake leaving your BGAN running when you don't mean to. As far as we know, this is the only system that has 2 LAN ports. I mean, you could correct me if I'm wrong. And why is that important? You know, what I do a lot is Ethernet number 2. It usually comes from the factory with a static IP, so I use that for administrative purposes. So when I'm deploying units, putting their SIMs in. Speaking of SIMs too, look at this novel thing. The SIMs go in the side. You don't have to take. I don't need a screwdriver to get to the SIMs. Now, most of the time, the user never has to touch the SIMs. You know, we deploy that, but I thank Florian and his team for doing that because it makes my life a lot easier. But why 2 LAN ports? So one I use for admin. I'll log in. I can configure the unit. The other one is HDCP, so I can hook it to the LAN to get internet connectivity. You could set the Wi-Fi and the LAN as access points, you know, to give you and your team, when you're in a remote location, internet access. When you put it in access mode, you can also get the web interface, so you can control the unit, remote control the unit, as well as configure the unit. So you have that flexibility. So again, 2 LAN ports are better than 1. Then you don't have to bring a switch or a little hub with you when you're out in the field. You can make multiple connections. So as I mentioned, you have access point and gateway capability to give internet. We've seen IFBs out there that are less than lacking seriously. They either don't work or the quality is not very good. Recently, AVI-West upgraded the performance. The performance of their IFB was always good. They upgraded the sampling rate or the bandwidth because some broadcasters wanted to use the IFB for production, so that they could have a 3rd audio channel inbound and outbound with a higher quality. I had a customer ask me if they could put the time code on an audio track. So I guess if you use the IFB as one of your primary audios, you could use put time code tones through the audio channel. That might be possible. Also, I haven't seen this on any other system. It seems the IFB is always an afterthought. They'll use a little cheapo USB little dongle. We integrate with an XLR and a 1/2-inch jack IFB interface panel. It's an audio interface panel, and it's not a party line. So master control, you can talk to all your transmitters that are out there, or you can have a dedicated connection through your intercom matrix switch to talk to each camera operator individually. I think a lot of broadcasters, they say, well, I don't care about IFB, I don't use it because if something doesn't work well, you have a tendency not to use it. So I think it's just a value add that will, a lot of times they'll just put a headset with a cell phone to the talent, but then you have one modem. What if you're in an area, you have a Sprint phone or a T-Mobile phone and it doesn't work in that area? It's better to have your IFB in the unit. You're using all 8 modems or all 11 connections. You get better reliability that way. And the latency of the IFB channel is sub 1 second. It's like a phone call. It's like a cellular phone call. So the IFB has a low latency priority through the system. So people ask me, oh, is the system easy to use? Or, AVI-West is not a new company. That's another question we get asked a lot. Say, well, how come I never heard of AVI-West? AVI-West, because of the strict compliance issues, requirements in the European Union, they concentrated on their own backyard. They concentrated on Europe. The other cellular providers are actually not allowed to sell in Europe. They're not compliant. You may see them pop up. But the way this product was built, it's part of the reason why it's so over-engineered. It's a requirement of the European Union. So they started in 2008. I think LiveView and some of the other players were around 2008. So they're not new to the market. Actually, I will argue, and I have, again, I'm bad habit. I'm jumping to a slide that's further on, but I can't help it. A lot of the competition, they're IT companies. They're Avi West is a video company. Their engineers come from some of the top name video encoding, video transmission companies in Rennes, France. Atem is there, and I'll talk more about it in upcoming slides. But so people ask me, well, how easy is it to use? I mean, this applies to all of Bonded Cellular. So a lot of times the talent goes out alone, and you can see here, this is very common. He's using a smaller camera that does not have an Anton Bauer or V-lock plate. You can buy the units with Anton Bauer or V-lock plates to mount on the camera. If not, you get a backpack, and there's an Anton Bauer V-lock plate in the backpack, and the unit clips in that way. Also, there's other units out there on the market that don't have battery plates on both sides. To me, that's a little puzzling. So I have an Anton Bauer V-lock plate on my camera. I put my Bonded Cellular there. Now where do I put my battery? I can't power the camera because I've taken the battery slot. So it's one of the few that has a double plate, so it was designed to go on the camera. So you see this operator here, he's got it in the bag. It's very common to mount it. I think I have that same tripod. I recognize that tripod. He mounted on one of the knobs. It's got a little hook on there. He framed his shot. He started the transmission, and I don't see any cameraman, any tech op. This guy went out alone to get that shot. And if he forgets to start the transmission, he starts to talk and they can't hear him. They can start the transmission remotely from master control. They can stop it when he's done. So all the operator needs to figure out is where the power button is. If they can't turn the unit on, I think we have bigger problems. They won't know how to turn the camera on. All they need to do is turn the unit on. The unit will automatically connect to either the DMG manager in the cloud, or it will connect to the StreamHub receiver in the studio, or both. And the video engineer and master control can control everything for the talent. All he has to do, turn the camera on, frame the shot, power the unit on, then master control takes it from there. So this saves tremendous money. You don't have to have an engineer, no technician, and master control can bail the person out. Here there was some sort of earthquake. I think this was in Latin America somewhere, a very tragic event. I'm sure the cell phone towers were jammed with calls of people trying to reach their loved ones, and this particular broadcaster was able to get live video out of this disaster using Bonded Cellular. It worked reliably. So again, about the ease of use. So here's some close-ups of some of the buttons. So the power button's right here. You just got to power the unit up. The unit takes 45 seconds to come up. I believe that's the fastest in the industry. You step out of your vehicle, there's a fast-breaking story unfolding in front of you. 45 seconds, you can be transmitting. So this is what the screen looks like. This is a blow-up of it. So you have a live, store, and forward button. Most of the time you're going to want to go live. If this is B-roll, you don't need to go live, or you want to record a high-quality version, you could just store the video, not go live. Or you can forward something that you've pre-recorded. So say you're taking a break, and you want to push the footage to the studio of some B-roll you shot that morning. You're in a Starbucks, you can hit the forward button and store and push to the server. Actually, I'll get into that. So to do a live transmission, power the unit up, you press the live button, then this is what you see. The transmission protocol is already predetermined, but you can press here. It's a touch screen. The operator could press here and change the transmission profile if they wanted to. They could change the destination server, and they can also change the format of the recording. This play button right here, that's your go button, your transmit button. So power, live. So 1, 2, 3 clicks, and you're transmitting. These buttons left and right. This one, you press this button when it's dark blue. You're recording in the camera based on the format you selected here. In this case, high definition fragmented MPEG4. I'll get to the importance of fragmented MPEG4. That's very important. And then here, the little monitor, you can show statistics here, or you can see a preview of the video. So before the operator goes live, he can come to this screen. He doesn't hit transmit. He can press here, and he can see that that the cable is working between the camera and the unit. So he knows video is making it to the unit. So once the unit's powered up, it automatically connects with master control. You can locally start the transmission, or master control can remotely start the transmission. So this is what the DMG Stream Hub looks like, and the reason why we call it a Stream Hub, I think Florian was instrumental in coming up with that name, and I think it's such a great name in that it describes what it does. It's a hub to receive all your DMG pros, but it's also stream signals out. It has IP outputs, and I'll get to that later. So here's a typical interface. So this particular unit has 4 SDI outputs. There are up to 16 IP outputs. We can't see that. That's kind of, if we just were to scroll down, we could see that. I think I have that in another slide. But this particular unit is putting a test signal through. It looks like it's set to record. This record button is pressed. So we have continuity. Now, if they were on SDI mode instead of the test pattern, we would be able to see the talent that he has a shot frame. So we have a continuous thumbnail. Every few seconds it sends another thumbnail. It's very low bit rate, doesn't use very much data. You can see here we're barely transmitting anything. So it just sends these low resolution thumbnails. So master control has the confidence that they're ready for the shot. A few seconds before, or a few minutes before they're going to go live, the operator can hit live on his unit, or the master control engineer or tech can press start live here. So either way, remotely or locally, the transmission can be started. And then you can drag the image to the output you want it on, or there's a drop-down menu to select the output. So it's very intuitive to use. It's very easy. So here's a question, that I feel all bonded cellular users should ask of their provider. Is your receiver ready for IP connectivity and workflow? A lot of vendors talk about it. Things are in beta. They say it's coming soon. AviWest had this about a year ago. The European broadcasters asked for it, and AviWest built it. So we're the only system that has over a year proven track record that IP inputs and outputs actually work and are in production. So a basic DMNG Stream Hub receiver can receive up to 8 DMG Pro transmitters. We can have 1 or 2 SDI outputs, simultaneous outputs. We can have 8 IP outputs. So if you have 8 units coming in simultaneously, you'd have to bring some of those out via IP, or you would need more receivers, or you would need our larger receiver. So, a lot of customers are still using SDI, they're not quite ready for IP, but they like the idea of an all IP workflow. As you guys probably know, ESPN is one of the few major networks to have an all IP master control routing and whatnot. So they're seriously considering our solution for that very fact that we're the only provider with a all IP capability. So 1 or 2 SDI outs, 8 to 16 IP outputs. Then we have an option that's coming out in the near future where the unit connector is an IRD. It can receive other IP inputs, non-AVI West. So if you got a Fujitsu, a TEM, IP Tech encoder out there, you can use the AVI West Stream Hub as a receiver or IRD. Then we have our larger server. It's a 2RU server. We call it a quad server. That can receive up to 16 units. The most the competition can receive in one box, I believe, is 4. So we can receive up to 16, and the way we're able to do it, they're 1RU and 2RU, relatively generic servers. They're running Linux. The software that AVI West has developed is incredibly efficient and powerful. So one 2RU server appliance can receive 16 DMMG Pros. We can have 4 SDI outputs, 16 or 32 IP outputs. The outputs, each input, you can have 2 outputs. So it's 16 channels. You can have redundancy. So I'll give you an example. In the case of ESPN, one IP stream can go to their IRD farm, and the other could go to archive. So it's 16 unique IP outputs, or a total of 32 outputs. And then coming in the near future will be 16 IP inputs or IRD capability to receive other types of generic IP streams. So here's all the protocols that the receiving appliance, the DMG Stream Hub appliance, supports. So AVI West, their bonding algorithm, their bonding transmission stream, they call it safe stream. So the receiver boxes can talk to each other through the public internet using the bonding protocol. So that includes AVI West's very resilient forward error correction, ARQ. So it's a high-end broadcast telecom grade video transmission protocol. They got support RTMP, RTSP, HLS, transport stream, and transcoding capabilities is coming soon. So again, I kind of alluded to this earlier. Who is AVI West? Why is this? Why do we worked with another bonded cellular manufacturer prior to working with AVI West. So we stopped working with them, and we went out to go find the best bonded cellular on the market. And I met one of the co-founders, Florian's boss, Erwin Gass, the CEO of AVI West, and we did some tests here in the U.S., and I was quickly convinced that this was the best product in the bonded cellular market. And the reason for that is they're a very engineering-centric company. That could be another reason why maybe you might not have heard of them, is that they're working on it. Florian's laughing. I'm going to bust his chops a little bit. That they're hiring a new marketing person this month, and they're very engineering-centric. All their efforts go into designing an amazing product. They're all video engineers, and the entire team have come from neighboring companies such as Thomson and Vivio, Tandberg, formerly Ericsson. Cumulatively, the senior engineering staff has over 100 years of experience. Ronan Pollard, the CTO, AVI West, is a brilliant guy. He leads an amazing team. I have never seen such well-written instruction manuals, even from American companies. in perfect English. The documentation woman in their office, I believe, she went to school in England. Her English is excellent, and they're all very well written. There'll be a verbal description, a picture of each button you need to press, along with the different screens. So if you're more of a visual learner, you can see the buttons you need to press. If you're more of a written type, oral, I got to read it to know it. They're amazing. They make it so easy. So they're a video company. They're not an IT company, and I think that's important to make that distinction. They know what good video is supposed to look like. So I mentioned this before. You know, we get asked this quite a lot. You know, what is the importance of fragmented MPEG recording? Why do we care about that? So standard recording, standard MPEG recording, the file itself is only available after the recording is done or when it's complete. So this wastes minutes or hours. So if you're recording a long segment and you're recording several gigabyte file, you can't touch it, you can't play with it, you can't do anything with it until it stops recording, until it stops growing. With fragmented MPEG4 recordings, it records the file in smaller chunks. I'm not an expert at MPEG file structures, but it records it in smaller chunks, smaller fragments, hence the name fragmented MPEG4. And you can begin play out, you can begin ingest, you can begin editing while the file is still recording or transferring. And this can save minutes or hours, minimizing your time to air. So a lot of the broadcasters like, and this is not only the files recorded on the transmitter, it also applies to the recorded files on the server. So a lot of broadcasters, what they'll do is they'll do the 6 o'clock news or the earlier evening news, some live story. Then for the late evening news, they may want to add some graphics, do some B-roll, produce the segment a little more, or for a story that they may want to re-air. So again, the second encoder comes into play. Why produce the higher quality version of the show with the live transmission? Maybe the bandwidth went up and down. You'll always have that high-res recording in the transmitter. When the event is done, you can push those recordings, so you can always produce your show more quickly with the fragmented MPEG4, you know, near live, and you can always produce a better quality show because you always have that second encoder giving you that high quality recording. So again, you know, I am so passionate about this subject. I was going to try to keep this under an hour. I see we're already at the top of the hour, so I'm going to kind of speed up here, guys, a little bit. Just to, I thank you all for joining today. I know you guys got busy schedules. We really appreciate it. So a lot of this we covered. So you know, the algorithm, the software is very important too. The unit is all automatic. It automatically makes those decisions of what cellular modems to work, the adaptive bit rate. You don't have to touch it ever. Everything happens seamlessly in the background. So that's why it's such an easy device to use. It just makes the connection, makes the decisions for you. It just works. So let me go back to this slide. So this slide, it was I think it was a rugby match or a football match in Hong Kong, and customers will say, well, I don't like bonded cellular. It will never work in a sports stadium. I have bad experience using bonded cellular. So this stadium has 100,000 people in it. It's one of those crazy rugby or football stadiums that wraps around all sides. You know, it's not a horseshoe shape. So there's like 100 or 80,000 people in here, and you know they're Instagramming, they're looking at videos, they're using their cell phones, and this device is, you can even see it doesn't even have the external antennas. It's the unit without it, and it's just broadcasting the game live without a problem, just to show you the resiliency. Let me keep moving here. So again, I mentioned how strong AVIWest's engineering team is. So you want a high quality RF. You want a system that has patented high gain antennas. Uh, Again, it's those little differences. You know, AVIWest took the pains of not putting the Verizon antennas near each other. They spread them out. You know, they put one cellular antenna next to another cellular antenna that's using a different band so they don't interfere with each other. I'll talk more about that. But they went to great pains to make sure there's no coupling effect or interference where one antenna interferes with another. The devices that have those consumer USB dongles, first off, strike number one is you're using a consumer grade antenna instead of a patented antenna. And secondly, the devices are all on top of each other. You need to spread them out. Radios, RF antennas need room for the standing waves to propagate. So AVIWest very carefully chose where they put the antennas in the device. There's 4 antennas on the top, 4 on the bottom, GPS and Wi-Fi. It all meets European safety standards, but I'll get to that in a little bit. So they went to great pains to design the product so that the antennas can work in close proximity without interfering with each other. So that's another reason why having 8 modems, why it works so well. All 8 modems are maximizing their transmission efficiency. And being such an engineering-centric company, AVIWest, they test everything. You know, they have a new version of the DMG manager coming out, and they don't release it early. Some manufacturers put the product out there. Well, let the customers find the bugs. Let's release the beta early. AVIWest has a very stringent quality control department, and nothing is released until it's perfect. So we know when a new version of firmware comes out, when a new version of software comes out, it's going to work. It's going to be solid. It's going to be reliable. So they took the units, put them in the lab. I learned a new word, anechoic chamber. An anechoic chamber is this chamber with all the foam on the walls to absorb RF reflections. So this is how AVIWest optimized the antennas. This is how they tested the unit to be safe in a chamber like this. And the European Union requires all these safety certifications. So they take things very seriously at AVIWest. They don't cut any corners. So this is how they're guaranteed the optimal performance for virtually any situation. So I won't read all these slides to you, but basically, you know, specific absorption rate is the rate of RF waves absorbed by the human tissue or by the human body. And the European Union has very strict regulations, as does the FCC in this country. And we're not here to say that other competitors' products are not safe. They may very well be safe, but I challenge you to ask your vendor, show me the certifications. Did a third-party lab actually do these tests? Can we see a third-party certificate saying that the product is safe? As Florian has told me a million times, the AVIWest is actually the only product on the market that is rated to operate touching the human skin. So this would mean, as horrible as this might seem, having the unit on your face or on your brain, it's the only one that is certified to operate in contact with the human skin. Maybe you want to add a little bit to that, Florian.
Yes, in fact, it's mandatory in Europe. It's a bit different than in the US. When you are manufacturing such a device with multiple modems built in, even if you are manufacturing this kind of device with multiple USB ports where you can plug modems, then the unit needs to be certified as a whole. It's mandatory here in Europe, and we have most of our users are using this product mounted on the camera, so it's near the cameraman head. And what we did is that we made this certification, so it has been certified to be used with all 8 modems simultaneously, of course, and not one by one. And with all 8 modems at full power, the body is absorbing less than using an iPhone 5, for example, which is not the best smartphone for that. Anyway.
Right. I make a point. A lot of people, you know, I always use a headset. It's never a good idea to have your mobile phone to your ear for extended periods. You know, as an engineer, I'd recommend using speaker, or I use Bluetooth. I mean, Bluetooth is a radio too, but it's very, very low power, very short range. I usually have my phone in my front pocket. When I'm in the car at the office, I take it out. So as an engineer, you need to use common sense, but even still, it is rated to do like this, and you can see pictures of the product actually be tested in the lab. So it is certified safe. So again, let me kind of cover this. Let's keep going here. So I meant to ask you guys some of these questions up front. So if you don't mind, let me ask you a question. Let's take a poll here. You guys should be able to see a poll. How many of you guys are currently using Bonded Cellular? If you're not comfortable telling me the brand that you're using, you can just put it under other. Just want to see some statistics, and then I can show you guys. It looks like we got a lot of TVU users. Let's see here. I'll give it a second. I think you guys are done. So let me see now. How do I? I close it. Share. Do you guys see the poll? Florian, do you see the poll results on the screen, or it doesn't show it?
Yeah, I can see it. Thank you.
Well, you see it. It's weird. I can't see it. So yeah, so it looks like live view and TVU are kind of tied, 14%. Then half that are using DeGero, and then majority are using other. And then, well, actually, majority are not using Bonded Cellular. So that's good. So I hope you are able, for those of you not using Bonded Cellular, I hope you learned something today. Great. So the screen should come back now. Did the screen come back, Florian?
Not yet.
You don't see the...
No, it's fine. It's fine now.
Oh, okay, there we go. So another important feature, you know, AviWest is not the only provider to have a cloud manager. I believe LiveView has one. The other players have it. As I mentioned earlier, they have a DMNG manager available today. There's a new version that they showed a beta of it at NAB. At IBC, the beta will probably be available for launch then or shortly thereafter, with the production version available in October. So what the manager does is, if you're a bigger news organization and you have a lot of assets, you can manage all your equipment. So you see here on the screen, you have, let me just show you here. You see the products. That you can see the app, the Pro, the Stream Hub. You can see different groups, and you can see where your assets are. So I like to name the units, put the customer's name, the last 4 digits of the serial number, or you might want to put, you know, News Crew A, News Crew B, that sort of thing. You can name the units whatever you want. You can name the receivers whatever you want. There's the mobile app. You can name the mobile app as well, so you know you may want to put the camera person's name, the talent's name. You can name it whatever you want. So it shows you where all your resources are. You can easily push software upgrades to all your receivers. You can push software upgrades to all your firmware upgrades to all your transmitters. So you can control engineering, the video engineer. You can control your whole ecosystem. You can see if a camera operator is in the city he's supposed to be in too. You know, if he's taking a little holiday when he's supposed to be in Munich and he went to Oktoberfest instead, turns his unit on. Okay, I'm here, boss. and Florian is the only Frenchman that I know that actually prefers beer to wine. He does drink wine, but he actually prefers beer. So you folks will hopefully get to meet Florian when we're out on the road. All I have to do is feed him steak and beer, and he's very happy. So you know where all your assets are. You can monitor everything. You can connect. Let me just show you on the next slide. This is a screenshot of the new version. So here's all your transmitters. Here's your different receivers. You can drag and drop. You see previews. You can see outputs. You can see your whole ecosystem. So there could be a crew in LA that needs to get video to a bureau in London. Someone in master control can drag and drop and make that connection very easily. It's very intuitive. What a lot of broadcasters are doing with this version of the product is putting it up on a big video wall, and then that becomes kind of your master control for all your bonded cellular assets. Spread it up big on the screen so you can control everything. Then another new feature is you can. This is usually in most of the world, it's very easy to buy SIMs. You can buy a SIM and stick it in any device. It's very easy in Europe. I'm not sure about Asia and Latin America. Here in the U.S., in a machine-to-machine device, as this is called, you have to have a special account. You have to have a relationship with Verizon, T-Mobile, Sprint, and AT&T. It's very difficult to do. It's very problematic. So we strongly recommend that you buy data packages from Vidovation. So this helps us manage data usage. So we can see if a customer's gone over or under, or we can generate a report for a customer and say, hey, or set up an alert that they get a text message that they're about to go over data. So you can put the amount of data monthly, how much it costs, how much extra data, and then what the billing cycle is, and then there's a phone number here for the text message. So maybe, Florian, you could talk a little bit about some of the new features in the DMG manager that I might have forgotten.
Yes, what we are adding in the next version of the DMG manager, getting released just right after IBC, so it's September, end of September. You will have some other views in the DMG manager. So there is a video grid, so you can display this interface full screen in your MTR, and you can see all the video feeds getting in the system, including external IP cameras, for example, and all the video feeds getting out, SDI outs as well as IP outlets. There is also another view you can see at the bottom of the screen here with SIM card statistics, so you can track all your traffic on all your transmitters and all your workflow on a worldwide scale. And you are getting notifications.
It shows roaming. That's very important too. You know, we had a customer unexpectedly take one of our rental units overseas, and there was crazy overage charges. So an alert can be set up here that something crazy's happened. Someone, you know, so you can be prepared. You can call Vidovation. We can make adjustments to your account so you don't get hammered with overages. We can add an international plan or whatever you might need. So we in real time we can get alerts. Let's see here. So here's kind of the ecosystem of Avi West. You can see here you have your transmitters, your DMNG Pro units out here. These mount on the camera, go in a backpack. You got the rack mount version that could be in a truck or a flyaway kit. Avi West has been shipping a product that does H.265 HEVC. This is a precursor to the next generation of product. One question we get asked a lot too is that I don't want to buy my bonded cellular because if the technology changes, customers that bought the Avi West product 4 years ago, this product has been shipping over 4 years now. There's about 3,000 of them out there. Customers that bought unit number 1 are able to get the latest and greatest firmware. You know, back then the product did 6 megabits per second. Today, the latency is far less. The algorithm has advanced in 4 years. It also does 15 megabits per second. Any other product, you probably would have had to trade it in to get 15 meg bandwidth. So again, I feel the product is very future-proof. The only thing this platform won't do moving forward is 4K. And most news agencies have no intention of doing 4K, or 4K is very, very far down the road, or up-converted 1080p or 1080 is very hard-pressed to see the difference in 4K. So 4K may not be needed. But aside from 4K, we feel this platform will have many, many years of life if you purchased one today. Then we have the DMG app. We support Android and iPhones. The app is free. You can have thousands of your users or reporters with the app. You only pay a small license for the number of simultaneous receive channels. You could have one channel that round robins with, you know, dozens of people. It's just that only one person at a time could broadcast. So we had a broadcaster. We did a demo. We sold them a system, and I showed them how to add the app to their phones. And the general manager was coming into work one morning, and there was an ice storm, and a bad accident on an overpass, and road was closed, and a helicopter landed on the freeway to medevac someone. The GM jumped out of his car. He wasn't a shooter. He, you know, took his Android phone or whatever phone he had, shot the video, hit live, and they got coverage they normally wouldn't have been able to get with an Android or an iPhone. The DMG laptop goes on a Mac, so you can broadcast live from a Mac. If you stick USB modems or LAN connections or Wi-Fi into your Mac, you can bond together. I believe that's shipping now, or will be shipping this month or next month. And then, as Florian mentioned, we'll be able to take in generic IP sources, other encoders, other IP cameras into the ecosphere. Other IRDs can communicate. So that's kind of the platform in a nutshell. And then the DMNG Stream Hub is the receiver, and then the system management is done through the DMNG manager. That controls everything. And the manager could sit on your premises. What AviWest has done for us is Vidovation's instance of the manager sits in Amazon Cloud. You know, if you're a government agency and you have your own cloud, we could easily sell you a server appliance to make your own cloud, or you can put it in the external cloud if you want. So let's see. So a lot of this I covered. I'll briefly go through the different products, but you know, the DMG Pro 180, that's the portable. The RA stands for remote antennas. We've kind of standardized on that, so they all come this way. The DMNG rack is a rack mount version, but it requires 2 external antennas that would be used indoors in your vehicle in a flyaway kit. The DMG app goes in your phone. The DMG laptop goes inside your Mac, and then the Stream Hub receiver. Here's a close-up of the screen. This looks like no, this looks like an Android, I think. But it's basically the same experience, whether it's Android or iPhone. It's very easy to use. You can go live. You can go store and forward. It bonds the internal cellular modem with whatever the Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi could be connected to a MiFi. So my phone is AT&T. I have a Verizon MiFi. I can connect Wi-Fi and bond. So you can bond 2 paths together with your phone. And you know, a common question is, you know, will satellite trucks go away? I kind of covered this. We don't see the truck going anywhere anytime soon, but it does save money for those instances where you don't, and where you may not need a technical crew. You know, crunching the numbers. You know, if you rent a satellite truck. Again, prices may vary. I picked the number of 2,500. Don't hammer me if I'm too low or too high, but just say 2,500 a day to rent a sat truck. Assuming you shoot 25% of the time, throughout the year, you're looking at conservatively $250,000. If you purchased a sat truck, it could be $250,000 to $1 million or even more. Bonded cellular, a broadcast bonded cellular. Now there's cheaper, I use the word cheap, bonded cellular out there. We really don't recommend using those. Maybe it has its place for customers that have really strict budgetary requirements, but if you want broadcast reliability, near satellite reliability, you're looking, anywhere from $15,000 to $25,000. Data plans, you're looking at, $350 to $600 per month. So let me ask you guys another question. So we've, Florian and I, when we've been traveling, we ask a lot of questions, and the question comes up, whether the lease, rent, or own the unit. And in the early days, in 2008, when Bonded Cellular came out, I think what was happening is that the technology was so new, it was changing so quickly. You had these computer appliances shoved in a backpack. It facilitated this lease model where you can't, in the early days you couldn't buy the unit, and broadcasters are used to capital equipment expenditure. You buy the equipment, you amortize it over 5-10 years lifespan, and that was the norm. So now here we are in 2016. We're more than 8 years into the Bonded Cellular life cycle, or especially the AVI-West product. We feel the life expectancy is, if people again that bought this day one, it still works today, and they can get all the upgrades. So we say 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5-year life cycle out of this product. The only thing it won't do moving forward would be the 4K. So I see here. Let me share the results with you guys. So it seems like most of you own units. I'm actually pleased to hear that. Some of you are renting units. So we talk to broadcasters, and they say, well, I like leasing the unit, and it's not really a lease. It's more of a rental. A lot of the competition calls it a lease, but it's a lease where you never own the gear, and it's a lease that never expires. So you end up paying for the equipment multiple times over. So the I'll show you some of the numbers. Let me close this now. So it seems like 8% rent, 31% own, and 62% don't have anything yet. So let me show you this slide. What most of our competition pushes is it's a 12-month term for $1,500. That includes typical data and support. So you pay about $1,500. You pay $1,500 a month for 12 months. We can offer a comparable plan where you never own the unit, where it's really, I would call it more of a rental. We could set up leases where there's an option to buy it at the end. We can set up leases where you own it at the end for $1. So here's brand X, rental, lease. I say it's more of a rental, where it just keeps perpetuating. With Vidovation, with our typical lease plan, it's a plan to own. And you can see here, after 24 months, with payments about the same, actually a little less, you'll have paid about $36,000. With all the other players, you don't own the unit, and you've paid in $36,000. With Vidovation and the AVI-West plan, If the unit happens to be obsolete after 2 years, well, you own it. You can use it for less critical applications. You could buy something new. If you really don't want to own it, we can set up a lease rent type program. So I just want to throw that out there, that time and time again, we've talked to customers that they say, oh, one unit my lease is up, another unit I've had for 3 years, another unit I had for 4 years. So you can see, if you keep paying this $1,500 fee, that eventually you're actually paying multiple times over for the unit. So you can see here, after 36 months, the payments drop in month 25. You're just paying for the data plus a small support fee. So they dropped from just under $1,500 to $633. So you start seeing this delta, almost actually $11,000 in savings after 36 months. Then if we go further down the road, some customers we talk to say, oh, I've had my unit for 4 or 5 years. So you see here, you could have bought another unit at the end of 5 years. You've paid 90 grand to your provider. You don't own the unit. Whereas over here, your payments went down, and you saved more than $31,000, and you could buy 2 more transmitters with that. So we just wanted to throw that out there. You know, the hidden cost or the real cost of ownership. And again, I'm not disparaging anything. The way the economics of the world, the way the bean counters are working these days, they prefer operational budgets or OpEx. So a monthly payment, if you have a TV show or a news show that's going to last 1 season, you do a 12-month commitment, and then you give the unit back when you're done. So whereas the other alternative is more of a CapEx, where you intend to keep the equipment and amortize it. So here's some scenes on site. You know, here's Avi West recently, Summer Olympics in Rio. They had a team there supporting customers. Here's some BFM TV in France, actually in Sochi, BFM TV from France. They're a big Avi West customer. You can see some interesting rigs. Camera operator on the back of an ATV or a motorcycle. They have the high gain antenna on the top. Different configurations. You can see here these guys got the unit mounted in a helicopter. They have one antenna mounted vertically and one mounted horizontally to get different coverage. This picture cracks me up. The cameraman is wearing flip-flops. I'm sorry, the pilot is wearing flip-flops. I don't know if that's FAA compliant to be flying an aircraft with flip-flops. I mean, I wouldn't want my foot to get stuck in the pedals there. That could be problematic. Here's some poor guys in Bangladesh. Looks like there was some devastating flood, and there's no way a SAT truck's getting in there. There's probably no power. The roads are most likely inaccessible, and there's no other way these guys could get that interview with anything other than Bonded Cellular. Another common question we get is, we never heard of Avi West, so how do we get support? How do we get service? So, as I said, Avi West's been around since 2008. They have offices in France, Hong Kong, Latin America, Russia. Vidovation is an extension of Avi West. We're a premier partner here in the U.S., so we're covering first-line tech support. In the U.S., you kind of get 2 for the price of 1. You get first-line support from Vidovation as well as support from Avi West for the same price. So we're in Irvine, California. Another common question we'll get is, oh, well, you're all the way in Irvine. You know, it'd be better if you were in New York. You know, our main bureau's in New York. Well, the benefit of being in Irvine is, you know, we have $1 million worth of Avi West inventory on the shelf, and if you call us at 8:45 Eastern Time, we can get a unit out to you that same day. So we can send you advanced replacements. So there is an advantage to being on the left coast. Then AviWest has a rental and booking website. So if you buy a system or become a part of the AviWest family, you can rent a system, like at the Rio Games or anywhere in the country. We do dozens of rentals every month of European broadcasters coming to the U.S., and we configure their rental DMG Pro to talk to their server back in Europe. We'll even do testing prior to shipping the rental unit to make sure we have audio connectivity, that we have the camera set to the right, that we have the unit set to the right frame rate, that sort of thing. So we're very hands-on. We do pre-testing of all of our rentals. And then I kind of covered this already. You know, who is AviWest? You know, you can see here 2008. Some of the bonded cellular companies, you know, there have been rumors, you know, one competitor will make a rumor about the other. Oh, they're going to go out of business. A lot of the players out there are extremely leveraged. They've, you know, leveraged $30, $60 million in VC funding. And, you know, VCs like to get a 6 times multiple return on their investment. So unless some of these competitors become a $600 million entity very quickly, they may have the financial rug pulled out from under them. AviWest has grown organically. The original co-founders of the company still own more than 51% of the company, still a controlling share, no long-term debt, so they're a very stable, very profitable company. Then who is Vidovation? I kind of mentioned this prior. We're most known for designing, building, supporting, and manufacturing the 60 gigahertz in-net goal cam for the National Hockey League for instant replay. We're doing some big IPTV projects with Viacom. We've worked with the Madison Square Garden Network, NFL, TV Global, Intelsat, U.S. Air Force, Marine Corps. The list goes on. I can also, I believe there's a means in your interface to download some ancillary. I got some data sheets. I have data sheets posted. I think if you go, there's a button. If you hit the little plus mark, there's handouts. So I have our Bonded Cellular ebook. I have some data sheets, and then I also have a copy of the PowerPoint presentation available for you guys to download. So are there any questions? If you go, we're not going to turn on microphones because that might get a little crazy, but there's, you know, right below handouts, you see a little chat button. You hit the little plus sign, and you can put any questions you might have. Let me see. Let me expand that and see if there's anything. Well, is there anything I forgot, Florian? Anything you want to add? Anything about AviWest?
No, I think you did everything well, but if anyone has any question, I would be pleased to answer.
You see, this presentation is also a test for me, so Florian wants to make sure that I've been listening, you know, over the last 18 months to everything. Everything I know, pretty much Florian has taught me, trained me. We've spent a lot of time in the road. I guess we've done a pretty thorough job because I don't see any questions. You guys, you can see my contact information. I believe in the webinar invite there's a way to contact me. Those emails will come to me. So if you think of a question later, if you folks would like to do a demo, if you'd like to rent a unit, there's buttons on our website to do so. We can put you in touch with the factory if you have any deep questions. And one very important thing, I will to attend IBC, but anyone attending IBC, be sure to visit the AviWest stand. Maybe tell them about IBC, Florian.
Yes, we are exhibiting in hall number 2, booth 829. So you are more than welcome, and if you want to book a meeting with me and reserve a time slot, I will be pleased to introduce you all our products and the new feature we are going to introduce at IBC.
I'll expect an email from me probably tomorrow where I'll give you an opportunity to book a meeting with Florian. I'll send an email out to our email list. So if there's nothing further, folks, we'll let you get back to your busy day, and I appreciate you participating. I know 90 minutes is long, but we had a lot of information. Hopefully your brains didn't explode. So thank you, and have a great rest of your day. And thank you, Florian.
You're welcome. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks. Bye-bye, everyone.
And thank you, Jim, for the presentation.